What's up, everybody? This is Bob Owens, and you're listening to Lone Duck's Gun Dog Chronicles. You're sitting here with me and my brother Kevin, and we've got Anthony Ferro from Fetching Feathers on the hook to talk about his business, his dogs, hunting stories, and a ton more. I'm fired up to have him here. And Anthony, I'd love to hear a little bit about you, your business, your story, and we'll get into it, brother. Lead it off.
Awesome. First, thanks for having me on. I always love the opportunity to shoot the bull about bird dogs and our stories, and why everybody's in it. What their reasoning is. So I'm looking forward to the conversation. Bob, Kevin, what's up?
Oh man, just here, enjoying and ready for a good conversation. Anthony, talk to me about Fetching Feathers. I follow you on Instagram and Facebook, and man, I see so many similarities to you and I in our story from, growing up to mid-20s, post-college, doing a job, that maybe we weren't fully in love with, but we're paying the bills and then letting our passion lead us into a different direction in life. So when did Fetching Feathers start, and how did this idea come into fruition? Big word, by the way. Big word use.
Yeah, no, I that's actually what I was thinking you were going to say in my head before you said it, so well played.
Yeah, thanks, dude.
So, I didn't really start hunting until college. I didn't grow up in a hunting family, and I got into it in college. I saw my first pointer. It would either have been my freshman or sophomore year. There was a couple older fraternity guys that owned a bunch of land in Gove, Kansas, northwestern Kansas. So we took a group of 8 or 10 fraternity guys out there, and that's the first time that I ever saw a pointer, and it was a German Shorthair and a Vizsla. And
nice.
Those two dogs working together, it was nothing that I've ever seen. And I don't know, I've always loved dogs and been in tune with dogs, and I've always been a dog person, and dogs seem to gravitate to me when I'm at someone else's house. So
yeah,
that connection was sparked immediately, and to see the intensity, and you could just tell that it was a natural ability. It was a God-given ability, that as a handler, our job is just to hone that skill for them, teach them how to pull that natural ability out of them.
For sure.
So I was hooked, man. I was hooked. I hunted all through college. I bought Gnarly, the old Gnar man. I call him the Brown Bomber.
There you go.
He's my little short stack, but the kid's got more heart than the average bear. So
how old is he now?
My 5th year. He turns 10 in September.
Gotcha.
So he's a white-faced, white-eyebrowed pup at this point. But so I got him my 5th year of college, and I had a little extra time because I wasn't a full-time student to finish out that 5th year. It was a victory lap.
Yeah,
and
very similar to me.
Yeah, I rolled a victory lap. It was an expensive lap, but damn it, it was fun.
That's right. Again, memories being made, buddy.
Yeah, I don't regret any of that.
Or probably remember it.
Loan bill. Partially. I think later on, by that time, my 5th year, I wasn't quite as rowdy.
Good for you.
So nonetheless, I had a lot of time to train, and I had a couple of mentors that were some older guys in college, and I just started training Gnar. And I left after school, and I moved to Austin, Texas, and I had a job in Austin, and I hunted quail, and at that point, I was there 2 or 3 years, and we were dodging more snakes, than we weren't, and I was just like, to the hell with this, and I always wanted to live in the mountains, so I packed up and moved to Colorado.
Good for you.
I would say between the influence of me starting in college and then my move to Colorado is really where the idea of Fetching Feathers took off.
So what year was this now?
I grew up, let's see, that had been 6 years ago.
All right. Very similar to Lone Duck. I think we're in our 7th year or something like that. So very similar.
Yeah, well, Fetching Feathers was only created a year and a half ago, but and I didn't even know what it was until a year and a half ago. But I think the idea, the the opportunities, the stories, the things that I saw in the field, those were all building blocks to the, eventually tangible name of Fetching Feathers. But
very cool.
The mountains took me over, man. The hunting in the mountains at 8,000-10,000 feet, for sharpies and blue grouse and sage grouse and up where I hunt all of these species of grouse is actually where the heaviest elk population is.
Oh,
so you get
nice.
to listen to elk the entire night at camp, and it's just so surreal. And there's a reason that the mountains take people over, and people's hearts are always drawn west. So that's really where it started. And then I saw a niche, and I said, you know what, I think I'm going to create a little something and call it Fetching Feathers.
Nice. I love it. Yeah, you do extremely well with the social media. I really enjoy. Do you do your own photography?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nice job, man.
Yeah. I
good.
appreciate it. Quite honestly, I wouldn't call myself a photographer. I just started. I take 500 pictures and get about 4 good ones out of 500.
Yeah.
I'm trying to learn the editing game. I would say, like, right now, if I had a goal from a photography standpoint, I want to identify, like, my look. I noticed that a lot of the photography folks that I really enjoy, like, it's the same edit on every picture. It's a great blend. It's a way to brand yourself, when
For
you
sure.
see it, you're like, oh, I know that's like Project Upland, they have a very obvious patent look. And so
Yep.
That's something that I'd like to work on this summer.
It's a good goal, but not to blow your head up, but I've the things that we stand for with the unspoken bond and the memories that we make out on the hunt and training. Like, I see your pictures, I'm like, this dude gets it, and your pictures embody it. You know what I mean? You get the point across.
Absolutely. I know, and I appreciate that. And that was something that I didn't really figure out until I bought a camera. I actually bought a camera because I was like, oh, well, it's a Fetching Feathers write-off. I've got to buy stuff, so I need a camera. So
There you go.
I went and bought a camera when I started the business and just, started messing around. But, I've learned that I enjoy a picture of 1 or 2 birds, opposed to a pile.
Right.
I feel like because if I can focus on one bird, I can replay that point and where I was and the, flush left to right, swinging hot. If I glorify one single bird, it allows me to tap into that particular flush. And, that's something that I love to do. And, that's how you tell good campfire stories, because you can remember it, shuts your eyes, and you can see that bird flushing. And
Mm-hmm. You can hear
so that's
it.
kind of the way I
it.
approach. Yeah, I approach my pictures that way. And, you try to get some different angles and, I don't know, and really just kind of let the dogs tell you what to do. My favorite pictures are with the dogs. So,
Yeah.
they're the reasons that we're in this. They're, if you will, leading the blind, and that's the way that I often talk to people. And I ask them, and we speak of guys who hunt without bird dogs or flushers or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I say, like a bird dog is leading the blind. If we didn't have a bird dog in the field, we are literally blind. We don't have a nose. We can't smell these birds. We're not picking up scent cones. We're just walking blind. And
Right.
so for me, if you will, dogs kind of give us handlers sight. And that's part of the bond. It's a relationship that each one can't function without the other. And that's really cool.
For me, it's not even fun going on a hunt if I can't take my dog or a dog I've trained or, a buddy's dog that I have a emotional relationship with, watching it grow up and watching it develop. It just, if I go, like, let's say we were to go on a guided goose hunt and they're like, nah, you can't bring a dog. Guess what, buddy? I'm not coming. It's just not worth the hunt. I get more enjoyment out of seeing the dog do what they love and do it well than anything else. Shooting the gun is third probably to the dogs and then your friendships.
Yeah. The harvest is the icing, but you can't have icing without the body, right?
That's right.
Harvest is the icing, but you can't put icing on something if you don't build a base, and the base is everything that you just said. Absolutely, man.
For sure. Now, when did you get radar?
I bought radar. So Gnarly was 5 when I bought radar. So I was in Colorado when I bought radar.
Who'd you get him from?
He's 4. I got him from Kai Larson out of Hunt 'em Up Kennels in Kansas.
Yep.
Yeah, Kai, he's got some amazing dogs. Some of his breedings, that he's been putting out, his litters. Radar's dog, Radar's sire Ruger, he's just dropping awesome dogs. Radar's had a cannon of a nose from the beginning.
Good deal.
And Radar turned 5 in August. So
Nice.
Radar's 5, Gnarly's 10 this season. My goal, man, anybody listening, please get a hold of me. I need an all-liver female for Radar, because I'm probably going to retire Gnarly after this season. And because Gnarly's the one that got me started in this, I will forever have an all-liver male in my kennel until I die.
Gotcha.
And I want that all-liver male to be one of Radar's sons. So I need an all-liver female for Radar. Please get a hold of me.
Hey, man, hopefully this, with you and I combined, we should be able to make that happen.
Yeah, I really hope so.
Very cool. Kevin's got it. Oh, sorry. So, with Radar, now, one of the questions I had for you that I don't even think I wrote down, but I've seen through some of your posts and whatnot, do you run any tests or trials?
Man, I really should run tests. I feel like I'm not doing Radar his justification for his natural ability.
Mm-hmm.
I never have. And the only trial that I have ever done is a small local club called Colorado Gun Dog Association. And it's just your good old boy. It's NASA rules, but it's not sanctioned by anything. It's more for fun.
Gotcha.
For some reason, the competitive nature of trialing really didn't sit well with me. I realized that this season in particular, I started trophy hunting.
Right.
I started not paying attention to the reason that I love it, and I was putting pressure on myself to make good shots. I was pressuring Radar to hurry up or to whatever it was, and I started feeling the anxiety in the field, and I said, "Whoa, man, you need to take a step back." And this year, Radar and I were qualified for the semifinals, and I just opted out, and I said, "We're done for the season." And I just needed to get back to why I love doing it, and the competition just ruined it for me. So
Yeah.
I'm interested in hunt tests because I really would like to title Radar. His pedigree is deep with all of master hunters and field trial champs, and I think really if I really want to turn people on, other than his natural ability and style, I need to get him titled a bit. So
Yeah.
we'll see if that's in down the road. Right now, the reason I'm in it is because I hunt public lands, and I enjoy the mind-freeing experience of following my dogs.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I definitely understand where you're coming from with sometimes, again, we're probably highly competitive people, and we share that, and so sometimes putting that pressure on you and your dog, you can take it too far, and it might take the fun out of it, but, there's something about being able to do this year-round, where I look at it as not only because it's my business now with training the dogs, but taking Memphis, my female black lab, as far as I can in her training abilities, as long as she's having fun, and maybe I had a bad day or she had a bad day, or we're working on little quirks right now, whatever it is, it's a process that keeps us doing it throughout the year. And the tests, you meet cool people. It opens up doors to hunting experiences. And I guess I'm plugging it a little bit for our listeners of hunting season's only how many days long. What are you doing with your dog the rest of the year? And I know that you're out there training with Radar and Gnarly, so you're doing what we do. But the test is another opportunity for people to get out with their dog, meet some people who are like-minded, and have fun. And if it's not fun, I agree with you. Take a step back and remember why you do it. But dang, a weekend away with your dogs, whether it's hunting or hunt tests or going out to a buddy's place and training, it's all good life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you kind of hit it right when you started. I think that my competitive nature gets the best of me. It always has got the best of me. And sometimes I lack the ability to put that competitive nature aside and just enjoy it for what you said, a training ability and some camaraderie. But like I said, at the end, I'm just I'm too damn competitive, and if I don't win, I feel like I was falling short on my way home. I drive home for an hour and replay every bird in my head and where I fell short as a handler, and things that I saw in radar that I need to work on. And I was just like, man, forget this. Let's just go do what we do. Let's just go kick dirt and shoot birds. So,
No doubt.
I'm training out here. I moved out to Western Kansas recently, and I've got to live on 4,000 acres. And
What?
Road
trip.
Come on with it, brother. We are in the heart of bird country in Western Kansas in regards to pheasants, and I bet you I see 6 to 10 roosters a day. I'm 15 miles off the highway, wheat fields pretty much on both sides, and they've been fighting in the wheat fields, all puffed up and pretty, and beating the hell out of each other. It's quite the sight being out here.
Dude, that's awesome. Speaking of like training and working with these dogs and where they've taken you, do you have any mentors that got you to the point you are now in training ability, and some of the maybe knowledge that they've passed on to you, or some of the experiences you've had that you could share with our listeners?
For sure. When I got gnarly my 5th year, I had a buddy named Scott, and he actually was the gentleman who owned the German short hair and the Vizsla that I saw work for the first time. And so he took me under his wing in college, and it's always nice to have somebody there to help with training. It's just easier with 2 guys in many instances. And so he welcomed the help, and like I said, I fell in love with it immediately, and I was just a sponge, and I learned as much as I could. And then after that, it was just kind of self-taught what I learned. And I think there's a lot to be said about a trainer and a handler, and there's a lot of guys doing really good things. At the end of the day, birds make a bird dog, and I was just always diligent about making sure that I was purchasing birds for my dogs weekly or biweekly. And the more interactions they have with birds, the more they learn. The idea of not shooting a bird that they flush themselves don't reward negative behavior, because they'll continue to do that, and just making them be patient. I think it's probably harder for the handler to be patient than it is the dog. It's hard for a lot of guys to let their dog sit there with a 5-minute timer on point. Or
not shooting when a bird goes up because they've hiked for 2 hours and haven't seen anything.
Exactly. So after that, I moved to Colorado, and social media can be good and bad. And I think that you and myself have understood how it can be a very positive thing for our businesses and just for, the gun dog community.
Sure.
And I got on Facebook, and I just looked up, I just randomly searched Colorado bird dog this, Colorado pointer that. And I found a couple groups, and there was a gentleman named Ken who had this all-liver German short hair named Blaze. And this damn Blaze dog, he was a stud, man. Gosh, he was a stud. And I just reached out to him, and I was like, man, I'd love to work with your dog. I've got an all-liver short hair. He welcomed me in. He's the one that introduced me to Colorado Gun Dog Association. But I would say that Ken and I've spent more time training with Ken than I have anybody else. And Ken is, I think you guys follow each other. He's RN Bird Dogs. He's got that setter named Cash.
Yeah, man.
Okay, so that's Ken. And I've been fortunate enough to got to be his training partner from, Cash being, whatever it was, 3 months old or whatever when he got into present. I was with him when he pointed and retrieved his first wild bird. That was a sharp-tail up in northwest Colorado. So,
dude, tell us that story. Walk us through that story. Paint the picture for everybody.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. It was unbelievable. This area that we've been hunting is up in the Steamboat area. I'm not going to say the exact towns because there's locals there, and I don't want to flood people, in an area. Because, anyways.
I gotcha.
Somewhere around Steamboat, and this area that we were hunting. So September 1st is when hunting season starts for most people, but it's dove. In Colorado, September 1st is dove and sharp-tailed grouse.
Okay.
Granted, it's 80-something degrees and you're hunting at 8,000 feet, so that sun is intense. But the rolling hills out there are unbelievable. So
can I interrupt you real quick?
Yeah, please do.
How do you keep the dogs cool in that kind of temperature? Are there precautions that you take, or like break and take breaks, or what do you guys do for that?
Yeah, sure. So there's actually they run cattle on all of this BLM land, and because there's cattle there every so often there's a pond, and so most of us are running GPS or Garmin Alpha or whatever you have, and so what we do is we pull the topographic up and you put waypoints where all the ponds are, and you just kind of you play your wind. Obviously, you're hunting with the wind in your face, and we just kind of navigate ourselves, to all the ponds throughout the hunting and just kind of hunt that area between there. I would say, typically Ken and I, dogs are probably doing around 40 miles a day in sharp-tail country.
Whoa.
So yeah, that's easy. If 40 isn't the mark, even gnarly averages, in the mid 30s a day, and he's 10. So
good Lord,
it's huge country and it's a lot of fun. So anyways, we're covering all this crazy country. We're hitting these ponds and cooling the dogs off. Every once in a while, Gnarly had a grand mal seizure or an epileptic seizure, one of the two. His blood sugar was low on a New Year's Eve hunt last year. But I spoke with a couple of doctors, and he suggested that you bring some sort of sugar for dogs that are doing these 30, 40-mile hunts a day.
Good advice.
So now I carry honey sticks with me. And every once in a while when we take a break, I'll knock one of those honey sticks open, and I rub it on their gums and put it in their mouth, give them a couple swallows of water and let them rest. And it's just good to give them that sugar for them. They're athletes, and they're burning so much more calories and energy and electrolytes than we are. And then the other thing I do is I carry 2 water bottles with me, and I fill one of them half with Pedialyte, half water, half Pedialyte, and the other one full of water.
Good deal.
And that's just kind of the same little supplement in the field. Just give them a little shot, give them a little bump of some Pedialyte, and keep them going. So that's kind of what I do to keep them cool. Yeah.
Good advice.
So anyways, Ken and I have worked, 3, 4, 5 ridges at this point. It's probably 11 o'clock. We're sweating. Nobody's pulled the trigger. I think we had maybe bumped a couple birds or had a couple wild flushes, and that was it. And we're actually making the descent, the backside, around the truck. And there's a lot of chokecherry bush in this area that we've hunted, and we've hunted this area quite a bit. And there's always grouse and chokecherries. It's just the way it is out there. So you hunt those areas and, within 50 yards on the outskirts of them, obviously. And we're making our way downhill, and I'm in front of Ken. And I look back, and I see at the time, his English pointer, Missy. And I see her big old white tail behind a bush, a sagebrush bush, and I say, "Hey, Ken, Missy's on point." Well, Ken looks down to his left, and Cash is in front of Missy, and Missy was honoring him. And that Cash dog,
nice.
if you guys haven't seen him, follow him at RM Bird Dogs. This Cash dog is like the poster child of setters. He's almost pompous with his points. His head is so high. His tail is so straight. He's a regal pointer. And he is, I don't even know. He's not even 2. Kid's like 1.5.
Wow.
And he's just standing staunch like a stud, like a veteran. And sure enough, Ken walks down, gets in front of Cash, walks to him. Sharpie gets up, drops him. Cash retrieved it straight 2-hand, no problem. And obviously Ken and I are hooting and hollering. I think actually I have all of that on GoPro as well, because I didn't shoot anything that day. I just watched Ken shoot.
That's awesome.
But yeah, that was his first wild bird. It was really cool to be a part of, and that's kind of the idea of the name of the film that we can speak of later. But reveling the first, and like, damn it. Like, what is our chances that I get to be a part of, raising another dog from being a puppy to a hunter, being a part of that with Ken, and then being on his very first wild bird hunt ever, that September 1st, and slamming a point and harvesting a bird for his dad. Like, man, those moments are why I'm in the uplands. Stuff that I won't ever forget. Old Cash's first bird. It's not even my dog, and I'm still fired up. So.
Dude, I know it. And that was one of the questions I was going to ask you is, like, your most memorable retrieves. And I actually, even though we just talked about Cash, and I think I just pictured, I walked with you in the woods right there, man. That was an awesome story. What was Gnarly's first retrieve? What bird?
Rooster, for sure. Gnarly has never had the strongest nose. I mean, he works fine. He slams, but he's not picking birds up from 40, 50 yards like Radar does.
Gotcha.
Gnarly's more in that 20, 30 range, and often in that 20 range, you're pushing birds to the flush. So Gnarly has always had the strongest prey drive in the field of 10 dogs. He is the dog that everybody uses when there's a dead bird that we can't find. With my group of friends, everybody says, get Gnarly in here. He is one hell of a retriever.
Love
and
it.
I won't say my buddy's name, and you'll get a kick out of this because you're a waterfowl and a lab guy. I was hunting teal last year in Manhattan, Kansas, where my alma mater, Kansas State's at, and we were hunting teal, and Gnarly out-retrieved a lab on the day. Gnarly had more retrieves on teal than the lab did, and as a matter of fact, we got a teal that sails and goes down. Lab and Gnarly both go for it. Lab quit on it and turned around, and Gnarly on my GPS was 72 yards on the retrieve to chase this damn wounded bird, and I'm like, dude, I know that pointers aren't waterfowl dogs, and I would never say that because it bothers me sometimes. And people are like, labs are just as labs point too, and I know labs point, but damn it, I'm a pointer guy. Anyway,
yeah.
What I'm trying to say is old Gnarly will give you a run for your money on the retrieve. So his first bird was actually at the ranch that I live at now, and I have a picture of him with his first bird in front of the ranch sign. Court Ranch is where I'm at, north of Edson, Kansas, and actually Radar's first bird was also a rooster at Court Ranch. Both of my boys got their first birds here. So, and Gnarly's bird was it was a layup. It was almost unfair. Bird held tight. Gnarly went on point. I kicked the bird up, and it was just like a pillow. Straight out in front of me, no left to right, no right to left.
That's perfect.
And I punched it, and actually I was kind of worried about it because I knew I punched it hard. And that little kid, Gnarly, let's see, check this out. Gnarly was born September 10th, and pheasant season starts like November 13th. So Gnarly was, I don't know, a couple months old, 4 months.
Yeah, 4 months?
4 or 5 months old. I mean, this kid is tiny in this picture that I have holding this big old rooster.
No way.
Yeah. I've got that picture. Actually, I think I posted it within the last couple of weeks on Instagram, but both of their birds were roosters, and confession time, I might upset a few guys. If I had to drop one bird to hunt the rest of my life, bar none, it would be a pheasant. I don't even have to think about it.
Really?
I would say pheasant hunting is probably my least favorite, too. Yeah, it's my least favorite.
All right. I can actually roll with you on that.
And I was born and raised in Kansas, so that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to folks. But they're my least favorite. What do you think about it?
No, I'd agree with you. I think so. We're from New York, and New York we don't have any wild pheasants anymore. Back when like my dad grew up, we had a population, but now our state raises and releases pheasant, and it's kind of they actually do like prison programs where the inmates will raise hundreds of thousands of pheasants, and then across New York State in select state land, WMAs and whatnot, they'll release birds, and we can hunt them. So you don't know where they are. You don't know what day they put them out. You might have to walk all day, and you might put up one bird. You might have a successful day and kill 4 or 5 within your group. But when you get on them and you get good at it, it's not like a grouse or a woodcock where you're in the thick stuff. You're getting prickers everywhere. You're trying to be strategic about, watching the dog on point and coming in at an angle where you can get a shot off. And so I think I'd actually agree with you that pheasants are fun, and I love doing it over a flushing dog because you can see him get birdie, and then you don't know when it's going up. But
Yeah, it's awesome.
over a pointer, and if that bird holds, you can kind of walk up and just kick it up and take your shot. But I don't know, man. I might have made enemies on that one too. But I think grouse and woodcock over a pointer is bar none exciting, challenging, and you lose more than you win. But every point and every bramble and thorn is a story and a memory, and I like that stuff.
Yeah, I've never hunted either of those species. That's on my list.
Rough grouse or woodcock?
Yes, sir.
Buddy, we got a trip for you.
Come on now. Don't tempt me with a good time.
That's right. No, that would be fun. The woodcock migrate, obviously, and so I in the wintertime, I travel to South Carolina and train the dogs down there, and we put up a few woodcock over Huey when we were doing a put and take training exercise for quail, and all of a sudden he went on point, and sure enough, there was a woodcock. So they're fun little birds, and the grouse are challenging because for us at least, they're hard to find, and you gotta be remote and in the right habitat, and it's still so new to me versus like duck hunting and goose hunting that every time I go out, it's like a whole new world, and the new memories are super fun. So I'm fired up for Andy for that, the little setter we got.
Oh man, I'm so excited to watch that story. And like I said, I'd reached out to you. Like, you would be doing that dog and yourself injustice if you didn't show everybody the progression of this dog from start to finish. I don't know if going as far as making the dog an Instagram page, but maybe how you can save your stories, just save a bunch of stories for that dog, and how you start the training process with a young dog from a kennel training standpoint to whatever it is that you do. I would love to watch that. I think some of your followers would too. It gives everybody an opportunity to see what you're doing and implement maybe some of your tips. So
yeah, that's awesome.
I'm excited
man.
to see what you do with that dog.
Thank you. I will. So we'll talk a little bit about Andy because I would love some advice, and I think your experiences and the people you've worked with can obviously help our listeners. And then, I've worked with a bunch of pointers. A lot of them have already had a decent head start. So Andy is very raw. She was born and raised in a kennel and barely knew her name 2 weeks ago when I got her. And so we're working her on pigeons, and she's not stretching out. And I've trained other 6-month-old setters and pointers that are just balls to the wall, 200 yards out, running, pointing, and she's more 30, 40 yarders. So I've got some ideas of how I would stretch her out to get her more confident on her runs. But if you were telling me what to do, what would some ideas to build a young dog, a young pointer's confidence?
Confidence in just stretching it out, or just confidence in the process and everything, birds, the whole nine?
I would say stretching it out, because for Andy's sake, she's confident around in the birds. I mean, she holds a nice point. She gets fired up when she gets sent, but she's sticking close by. So I want her to feel more comfortable and confident ranging. So would I use lower cover? I even have an idea, kind of like with a retriever. If I'm stretching out a young dog and retrieving, I'm going to feed them bumpers and get them confidently driving 100 yard, 200 yard with a bird boy helping them along to keep them driving. So my idea with Andy would be like, all right, see those hay bales 50 yards away? There's a pigeon. Now I start 100 yards away, and she's going to run to that hay bale because she thinks there's a bird there. And now over time, she's confidently driving further away from me to find birds.
Yeah, no, I think that what you just said is actually a really good idea. And I'm no genius, but this is how I always explain this idea, and it's Ivan Pavlov's theory of conditioning. And that's a lot of what we're doing as handlers. So Ivan Pavlov, obviously, for people who may not know, did the experiment where he rings a bell and then gives the dog a treat, which is kind of actually where the clicker idea that trainers use now actually came from. So what happens is when that dog would hear the bell, the dog would start salivating because the dog knew that the bell meant he could get a treat.
Right.
So your idea of saying, first, let's make sure this dog knows, bring that dog in on the lead to that pigeon by that bale. Bring that dog in on a lead and let that dog know that there's a pigeon there, right? And then
Yep.
pull that dog out, walk it away from there 50 yards and have a buddy put another pigeon there. And then walk that dog back, at 30 yards and then clip it off. If that dog doesn't go straight to it, that's okay. It doesn't go straight to it. Walk to that bale like you were hunting,
Right.
And I would also carry a shotgun, not that you're going to shoot it, but we want to emulate the hunt all the time. We want this dog to connotate shotguns and birds together, right? When the dog sees a shotgun, it's time to go to work. So instead of just out there walking around with a camera, bring your gun. You don't have to shoot it, but bring it. And then, keep going back. And I think if that dog, again, the theory of conditioning, knows that when it gets let off the lead and it's in that field and knows that bale, there's going to be a bird there. And then, obviously you're going to try to range it out from there. I've got 2 other ideas for you that we like to do, Ken and I often do, is we run the young dog with one of the big running dogs.
Okay.
And we let them out together because we know that one of our dogs, whether it's Radar, Radar stretches when we train at 400 or 500 yards regularly when we just go running. And Cash does too. Cash will run at 300 yards, no problem. So we let that puppy out with that dog. We let them play together, get fired up a little bit, and then hunt them up and let that little dog chase your big dogs.
Okay.
That's how they'll learn how to run cover. Not only will they learn how to stretch it, but they're going to learn how to actually run cover. Instead of just barreling through tall CRP or whatever it is you're training in, that dog's going to learn how to run around cover and learn how to start hunting and catching wind in that cover. So,
all right. So can I play devil's advocate on you?
Yeah, shoot.
All right. So I've got my dad's dog is a lab, and I've got my older dog Lab, and we did the same thing mainly because Dad wanted to bring his dog out and hunt, and he knew how to retrieve. He was fully pretty much trained, but hadn't pheasant hunted. So this son of a gun would get lazy and let Buck, my dog, go into the thick stuff and flush the roosters, and Boss would sit on the outskirts like, I'm not going in there. He's just going to kick him out, and I'll get the retrieve. So I wonder if there's like a happy medium of the older dogs building the young dog's confidence, but you want to make sure that they're not relying on the bigger dog to do the work, and the young dog gets the reward. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, but we don't want any bird opportunities while you're running this young dog with a big dog. This is strictly exercise, right?
Oh, all right, good.
Strictly putting on miles.
Gotcha.
No, like I said, carry your gun so the puppy is saying, okay, we're out here, I'm trying to find birds. Instead of just free running, the dog's going to run with a purpose because, again, theory of conditioning. Every time he gets the gun out, we get to go hunting, right?
Yeah.
So to give the dog purpose to want to actually hunt hard instead of just free run, but it's also going to want that dog to run with that big dog. No birds, 0 birds, strictly miles. Whatever your goal is, 5 miles for a 6-month-old dog. Run a 5-mile stretch and let that dog get it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so I'd say with the theory of conditioning, we pretty much conditioned Boss to know that Buck's going to go in the thick stuff, get some briars in his face, and then flush a bird for him to go get.
Absolutely.
So
that's exactly what happened.
That was my little brother. We got a very similar voice.
Yes, you guys do. I couldn't tell.
I knew you couldn't. Yes. Kev
Holy
took
crap.
It. Yeah, dude. That's funny.
So, yeah, I mean, that's an idea.
Yeah, no, I think that's the nuance of no birds makes more sense to me than the older dog finding the birds and the young dog letting them do the work. But letting the bigger dog build confidence and fun getting out there independent, right?
Exactly. You're creating the independency, at which point is when you introduce birds when you have 2 dogs in the field. When that dog starts running by itself the opposite direction at 300 yards, when it starts hunting for itself and it realizes that this is no longer a game where we're not playing chase, that's when you could put birds in the field, because there's a good dang chance that young dog eventually is going to find the bird prior to the older dog. It's just how it's going to go. I mean, dog's not going to get the same point every time. And that's kind of where we're at. When that dog goes independent, throw some birds out there and let it start doing its job. And your old dog is going to honor that young dog, which is also going to build confidence in that young dog. So
excellent. All right. So you had one more point. What else did you have for me?
I've seen a lot of guys do this from an exercise standpoint with their 4-wheelers. and they've got the whole thing attached. I don't know. I don't know about the whole attached situation, but my dogs always run big if I run a four-wheeler adjacent to a field with them, whether it's your truck or what have you, or driving up and down through the same cut in a CRP field. But it's building that drive, and you know, they're trying to keep up with you and chase you, and you're their owner, and you know, they're going to want to stay with you. So start out slow and let that dog do a canter, if you will, and a good stretch and get him loose. We don't want to pull any ligaments or hurt anything, and then get after it. You know, rip on that four-wheeler through a field and let them run with you, and they're going to learn to run big, and it's going to also extend their stride running that fast, you know. So a good stride is something that I always look for in a dog. Gnarly's got little nub legs, and he does twice as much work as Radar does. So a good stride, something to do. Not that saying that a dog running quick next to your car is going to build stride, but if they're running fast, that's a full stride no matter what. So, you know, teach them their abilities. I think that they learn their limits as well in situations like that, just like any other kid does, you know, running the 100-meter dash or whatever it is in junior high. Like, you learn your limits, how fast you can go, when you can sandbag and when you can't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm all about the opportunity and exposing them. And like I said, my job is, I don't take credit like I'm the handler and I taught this dog something. My job is strictly to bring out the natural abilities in that dog. I just need to introduce them and lead them to that. Other than that, they're teaching me.
Yeah, no, I 100%, especially in the bird dog world, I feel the same way. You're honing natural. If you buy a well-bred dog, you're honing natural ability and grooming it, right? And let birds teach the dog and things like that. Can we jump into a little bit about some of your business and the Project Upland video that you're fired up about?
Yeah, let's roll with it. So,
all right, man. So talk to us about, you know, I guess maybe if someone doesn't already follow Project Upland, you and I both are big supporters of them, and so maybe give a 2-minute who Project Upland is, what they represent, and then your role with this video.
Okay, sure. I'm not I'm not an affiliate or an employee of Project Upland, so I can only speak so much to what I know, of them. But Project Upland is really inspiring to me and a lot of people in our community, as they are doing exactly what you and I are talking about. And what we love is really glorifying the gun dog, glorifying the quarry that we chase, and glorifying the guys that are really passionate about it. And their approach with their cinematography and the things that they highlight is much more appealing to the younger generation, your and I's age.
For sure.
Guys in their mid 40s to, whatever, 18, 14, 15. They're putting out content that's captivating. We live in a time of, social media, and there's 1,000 things that cross our eye daily. How do you capture someone's eye in 2 or 3 seconds? And I think what Project Upland does a really good job is they tap into the intricacies of a hunt, the emotions that drive the reasons why. And that's why I'm a big supporter of Project Upland, because it's not about Project Upland. Project Upland is just the stage that it's called. They are absolutely in it to showcase why the uplands are cool and how we can make the uplands cool again. So that's really, in a nutshell, I think what I see from Project Upland. They reached out to me a year and a half ago, pretty much, maybe 6 months into me starting Fetching Feathers, and just said, we like what you're doing, keep it up, we'll stay in touch. And one thing led to another, and we did the Revel in the First film that we recorded in Idaho at the end of October 2017. So the teaser just came out last month, Revel in the First. You can see it on YouTube. You can find it on Project Upland's page as well, on Facebook and mine also. And then the trailer comes out at the end of July, early August, and it'll be 2 minutes. So the teaser's 1 minute, trailer's 2, and then the film comes out, I believe, September 3rd. And that's kind of was the process, really. I mean, like I said, I kept it short, but we started talking, and I did a couple pieces for him. I wrote for him a bit. We stayed in contact. we really just kind of vibed real well, and the opportunity presented itself, and I couldn't be more humbled. By far, my most humbling, proud moment or opportunity that I've had ever in my entire life, ever. I've never been so honored to be a part of something like this, and it has absolutely nothing to do with people are going to see me. It has everything to do with the thought that when I'm 80 years old and my knees and my ankles are ruined from being an upland hunter my whole life, I will have a film that I get to watch of me in my prime. I'll have a film of my first bird dog, Gnarly, who started all of this, something to look back on. You know, I think for me, it's about leaving a legacy behind, if you will. And I think about stuff like that. And I think part of what I'm doing right now is what I want to leave behind. You know, I just want to be known as a really passionate guy in the uplands, and, touched a few people on the way and just tried to be inspiring and positive. So yeah, this film is near and dear to my heart. I'm just really grateful for the opportunity.
What hunt did they go on with you? Was it I guess I'm not even sure. What did you guys go on the hunt for?
So the hunt was in Idaho, and we hunted a few other areas, but primarily we hunted Hell's Canyon, and we were chasing chukar and Hungarian partridges. So that was the first time I've ever been to Idaho, and I'd never hunted huns or chukars before. So it was life changing. The terrain, the beauty, it's so cliche, but literally breathtaking. There was times, well, it was breathtaking because I was out of shape and I got my rear kicked because that is some tough country, but it was also breathtaking from the point of it didn't seem real. The beauty of Hell's Canyon and the Snake River, and man, it was just crazy to see and to be there, on top of a ridge chasing chukar on, rim rock, and with your dogs and a film crew following you. Who am I, man? What a blessing, man. I don't know why, I was given the opportunity. I think that there's millions of guys doing just as good or better than I am, but damn it, I'm thankful, and I'm really excited for everybody to see this film and to kind of understand me more. And I'm obviously much more about the emotional side of the hunt than I am just the harvest. It's kind of what drives me and is the focus of the film. I get teary-eyed a couple times in the film. When I actually shot my first chukar, I involuntarily dropped to my knees and I cried, and I was just taken over by the amount of effort and energy. And they always say if it was easy, it wouldn't be worth doing. And I absolutely earned that first bird. And I don't know, man, I'm an emotional guy, and I really tap into what the hunt does for me. So I think the film is so dope.
Yeah, I feel like that parlays into, again, why you're on this podcast and why I gravitated to you as a Instagram personality is you get the unspoken bond and the things and experiences you have with your dogs. Man, I bet 10 years ago when you got Gnarly, this wasn't even a thought in your mind that you would meet guys that would take you to Idaho to shoot chukar and huns, or be on podcasts. The world, hard work breeds stuff like this, and being a good person that works hard allows opportunities. So you should pat yourself on the back for that. But when you started this with Gnarly, there's no way you could have fathomed where it'd take you. And that's where guys or girls that are listening to this and following along with these people that they don't even know, but they get to know us, and they get to know the dogs and the personas, if you will, of these dogs. And their dogs are no different than yours or mine. Ours aren't better trained or anything. They're just great family dogs, great hunting dogs, and the opportunities and the people we met along the way led us to where we are today. And, man, I'm happy for you that you got that opportunity with those guys, because like you said, when you're 80 years old and you're showing your kids and grandkids YouTube, which is probably going to be obsolete when we're 80, you're going to pull it up and be like, dude, this was me when I was 32, and this was my dog back then who's been gone for 40 years, and I'll never forget that dog and where it took me. So, congrats, man.
That's exactly why I'm most excited about this film, for sure. So to be able to look back on it when the day comes that I can't do it anymore.
You got any cool trips planned for 2018, 2019?
Woo-wee! Let's talk about it, buddy.
Woodcock and grouse in New York.
Come on, let's get it. I'm not scared. I'm an asphalt cowboy, dude. I eat up highway miles, so.
Let's go.
The great thing about the new career path that I took, I only work 6 or 7 months out of the year. You can't, it's hard to do exterior work on homes from storm damage in the winter. So I work, 6 days a week for 6 months out of the year, and then I have 6 or 7 months off now.
Right.
That being said, we're going to load up the trailer and hit the road pretty hard this fall and winter. I've been seeing more snakes this year than I ever have, so I'm kind of hesitant a little bit about hunting September 1st grouse just because it's been so hot. But I'll do my Colorado grouse trip because it's right next door. I'm 2.5 hours from Denver.
Okay.
I've got a trip set up in Montana with Ken. We're going to go hunt. It's an Indian reservation in Montana for huns and sharptails. I've got a trip set to Idaho again because I need revenge on the chuckers in Idaho.
There you go.
I'm going to get with the boys of Nevada Chucker Chaser and the Up Chucker guys, and I'm going to try my hand at Nevada hunting. Those guys are always slaying it. I see them, and I'm like, dude, you guys are putting birds down. I need some of that.
Cool.
I'll hunt Nebraska like I usually do. I'll hunt Kansas, obviously. And like I said, I'm really trying to get up to your guys' direction sometime this year. Whether it be you guys or, let's get on the books. Let's start talking about it. I really want the opportunity. Everybody in your direction calls the rough grouse the king. And, hell, who doesn't want to be a king slayer? I want to crack at it.
Dude, so not to digress, but I've got a wedding in Michigan in September, and the wedding is like a week after grouse opener. So my goal is to have Andy ready to road trip with me and my girlfriend out to Michigan, and we're going to spend a couple extra days in the Upper Peninsula. I mean, why not, right?
Yeah, why not is probably the best statement. I like why not.
Yeah, I don't think she doesn't know about it yet, but I do.
She does now.
Yeah, exactly. But that would be fun. I mean, maybe we could parlay that trip into something, but that's for me, as a young grouse hunter, you hear the stories of the Upper Peninsula, and I think that would be a cool spot to go check out.
Yeah, I've talked to a few guys that live and hunt in that area, that say the exact same thing. I'm easy. I don't have a whole lot of expectation, especially, when you're coming in, never hunted a species or been in that area, so it's pretty easy to please me on a hunt. If we harvest, awesome, but just walking some new country and learning, this is the cool thing about the uplands, man, and like the United States in general. It's like, you notice every region is different types of food, different types of culture, different stores, whether it's your local grocery store, whatever, so
sure.
Like the uplands are the exact same. You're where I am in Kansas. I'm sitting here at the top of the hill, and that's no joke because I don't get service at the ranch, and I am surrounded by 4 fields of wheat, a cornfield through the middle of both of those. Like bird-rich country, you're hunting, milo and CRP and cut corn, and obviously out west, you're hunting, big rolling hills, and then obviously even further west, mountain tops, and up in your guys' area in the Northwoods that you guys hunt. Like, dude, the thickest, craziest stuff. It doesn't even seem enjoyable. Like, from my perspective, because I've hunted wide open country my entire life, and my dogs hunt at 500, 600, 700 yards, holy crud. I don't know if I could get my dogs to stay in close enough to actually successfully point and shoot a woodcock or a roughie. So that's why I'm interested, because I've never done it. And come on, I love to be challenged. Let's do this.
All right, well, we'll make it happen. All right, so we'll get into the last few questions, and we'll wrap this bad boy up. Kind of rapid fire. If you had to only kill one species and hunt one species with your dog, what would it be?
Bobwhites.
where specifically?
Goodness gracious. Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas.
All right. Yeah, there you go. What kind of gun do you shoot?
Franke Instinct L 20 gauge over and under.
Ooh.
And actually, we spoke of it earlier about hunting roosters. Hunting roosters is why I switched to a 20 gauge. It was just not a whole, like you just punch them with 12s. And so, growing up here, I was like, let's switch it up. Let's just shoot things with 20 gauges. And I now shot 9 upland species with that Franke, and then all sorts of species of ducks, and then Canadas as well.
Good for
That
you.
little 20 gauge and I, we punch beaks. There's no doubt about it.
My man. So you're a German short-haired pointer guy, but if you could have a bucket list breed of dog, what would it be?
I'm going to say English pointer just for the fact that I'm not dealing with hair on setters. I like the shorter hair. I'm not spending time to brush my dog out. Like, that's just a crazy idea to me.
Oh, I
Like,
promise
there's
you,
guys
she
that
ain't getting brushed.
spend hours. Dude, I'm talking about spending hours after the hunt brushing their dog. And I'm like, man, that's just crazy. Like, after the hunt, you're getting kibble and water, and you're going in the dog box, and I'm going to go put my feet up and have a beer and eat some supper myself. Like, I'm not brushing you for 2 hours. That's crazy.
Yeah, she's getting a buzz cut.
Respect to the guys that do that. I love it. Those breeds are awesome. I know that you have a connection with them just like I do with my short hairs. So I love all breeds, but I'm going to say English pointer would be the next dog I like.
All right, cool. Well, we'll wrap this bad boy up. Do me a favor. How can people find you on social media?
Sure. I have a Fetching Feathers Facebook page, but quite honestly, it's underused. I don't use it quite as much as I should. Anthony Ferro is my personal page, which the only thing I really post on that is bird stuff anyways. Fetching_feathers is my Instagram. My website is fetching-feathers.com. And again, the film you can see, the teaser is Revel in the First on YouTube. So those are the ways to get at me.
All right, cool. Well, the cool thing that Anthony and I discussed before we got rolling into this is we're going to have a little giveaway for all our new listeners and followers. So he's going to give a Fetching Feathers hat, and I'm going to give a Lone Duck hat away. All you've got to do is subscribe to the podcast. I think Kevin said we've got to give 5 stars. So even if you don't like it, just give 5 stars. And then follow Fetching Feathers and Lone Duck on Instagram. So over the next month, we will announce the winner for the Fetching Feathers hat and the Lone Duck hat. So Anthony, dude, loved getting to know you. Loved hearing the stories about Gnarly and Radar. It's a pleasure. I'm fired up for 2018 and watching your company and your personal growth over social media. And we'll stay in touch, man, and maybe we will make a grouse hunt and woodcock hunt happen this fall.
Yeah, awesome, man. I appreciate you guys having me on. Again, I really, really enjoy following you. The more training videos you can give us, the better. You've got a lot of knowledge. And dang it, feed us this Andy Dog video start to finish. I want to see what you do with it, man.
All right, will do. Hey, thank you so much for your time this evening. Stay well and stay in touch.
Awesome, man. Be good.
All right.